Hello friends, welcome to Dungeons & Dragonfly, where I adapt various characters for use in D&D. I am that Dragonfly, Dragonfly9078. Now I know I just did a Homestuck build a couple of weeks ago, but I just played through Act 2 of Hiveswap, and I'm still pretty hyped about it, so you're going to be getting a 2-for-1. Today I'll be building Joey Claire and Xefros Tritoh. Fair warning, there will be spoilers for Hiveswap Act 2. First, a bit of background. Joey Claire is the 14-year-old daughter of famed adventurer Jake Harley. One fall afternoon in 1994, she, her brother, and their dog were playing in their backyard when they were attacked from out of nowhere by bizarre monsters. Joey managed to escape to the attic of their house, where a mysterious device she had never seen before transported her across space to an alien planet. There, she gets in contact with one of the locals, a boy named Xefros, and they work together to escape his neighborhood, which is in the process of being bombed. From there, they set out to find a way to return Joey home. So what do we want from this build? Well, Joey's an accomplished dancer, so we'll need some fancy footwork in multiple different schools. She's also an aspiring veterinarian, so she needs to be able to work with animals and preferably to heal them. And finally, Joey works best when there's someone relying on her, so we'll need to help our allies out of whatever jams that they get into. Looking over at ability scores, I'm using the standard point array from the player's handbook. We're not going to be doing any multi-classing this time, so feel free to roll stats. We'll start off with a 12 in strength. Joey doesn't have much in the way of brute force, but she can tap dance hard enough to shake the floor. Dexterity will be 14, since Joey is a ballerina, and everyone knows that ballerinas are
graceful.
Unfortunately, ballerinas are also
Delicate.
So Constitution is a bit low. But Intelligence will be a little higher at 13 for the puzzle-solving skills she's so proud of. We'll dump Wisdom. Joey has a habit of trusting people that she really shouldn't, which has come back to bite her multiple times. But for every person that has taken advantage of her trusting nature, there are several more that are genuinely friends with her. She's a real people person, so Charisma is going to be our highest stat. Joey is referred to as an alien for a good chunk of Hiveswap, but that's because she's on an alien planet. She's actually a human. Use your 2 free points to even off your Intelligence and Charisma, take Animal Handling to get started on our vet skills, and we'll take Magic Initiate for our free feat. Magic Initiate gives us 2 cantrips and a first level spell from one spell list, in this case, Sorcerer. We can cast the cantrips at will, and the first level spell once per day. My picks for cantrip are Light and Poison Spray for our Flashlight and Spice attack respectively. Poison Spray forces a Constitution save on a creature within 10 feet, dealing 1d12 poison damage on a fail. Since we'll be level 20, that damage will actually be 4d12 instead. For our first level spell, we'll take Earth Tremor to shake the ground under the might of our tap shoes, dealing 1d6 bludgeoning damage to any creatures within 10 feet of us that fail a dex save, and knocking them prone. It also makes the area difficult terrain. I would have liked to have used the Bard list for Magic Initiate, since I think that fits Joey a bit more than Sorcerer, but Poison Spray isn't on the Bard list, and I really wanted the Spice attack to be in here. If you do want to use the Bard list instead, maybe take Message for a walkie-talkie. Joey's father is what I would refer to as a celebrity adventurer, and she doesn't like him, so we'll go with celebrity adventurer Scion for our background. We get proficiency with perception and performance, as well as with the disguise kit. I'm going to assume that this proficiency is why nobody questions her disguise that is literally just 2 traffic cones, a hoodie, and the hope that nobody's expecting to see an alien riding a train. We'll be doing something a little different for our class. Since this is a 2-build video, and these 2 are just a couple of ordinary kids doing their best, I thought I would take the opportunity to highlight the new sidekick classes from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. Joey will be an expert, which is a sidekick focused on skills and helping the party. We get proficiency with either Dexterity, Intelligence, or Charisma saves. Dexterity fits our awesome dancing abilities, so go with that. We've also got a sharp mind, so we'll get proficiency with one of our mental saves later on. Intelligence is going to be my pick there. We also get proficiency with light armor and any 5 skills. We'll fill out our list with Acrobatics, Persuasion, Investigation, Medicine, and Survival. Since we're humanoid, we also get proficiency with simple weapons and 2 tools. Joey's father is a globe-trotting adventurer, so there's a fair chance that he taught her to use navigators and cartographers' tools. They probably aren't much use on a planet with different stars, but hey, you can't plan for everything. Sidekicks are meant to help the party, and experts are especially helpful. Not only can we use the help action as a bonus action, the creature we help can add 2d6 to their roll. If we're helping attack a creature, we can help from 30 feet away. We deal an extra 2d6 damage the next time we hit the targeted creature this turn, and the creature we helped can add 2d6 to the damage of their attack rather than to their attack roll. Dancing has a surprising number of applications in combat, as we can use Cunning Action to dash, disengage, or hide as a bonus action, and Evasion to take no damage on a successful Dexterity save and only half damage on a fail. As a rich 14-year-old with substandard adult supervision, Joey has lots of time on her hands to hone her skills, letting her add double her proficiency bonus to Medicine, Animal Handling, Performance, and Investigation checks, and making all of her talents reliable, meaning that for any ability check she makes that includes her proficiency bonus, she can't roll lower than a 10. Now, I didn't see whether or not sidekicks can actually take feats instead of taking ability score improvements, but I don't see why not, and it makes the builds a little more varied, so take the mobile feat at level 4, increasing your walking speed by 10 feet, and letting you ignore difficult terrain while dashing. You also don't provoke opportunity attacks from creatures in the same turn that you attack them. You can just dance right on past. You also take Healer to make us a capable veterinarian/field medic. When we use a Healer's Kit to stabilize a creature, that creature regains 1 HP, waking them up and getting them back in the fight. You can also use a Healer's Kit to patch up a creature's wounds, healing them 1d6 plus 4, plus an additional amount equal to that creature's total number of hit dice. We can only heal a given creature like this once until that creature takes a rest. For our other 4 ability score improvements, we'll bump up our Dexterity, Constitution, Intelligence, and Charisma by 2 each. So now that we're at level 20, how good is this build? Well, we have 8 skills, 4 of which are expertises, and all of which are reliable, so most skill checks we make will probably succeed. We can also give advantage and an additional 2d6 to any ability checks our friends make, so most of their skills will probably succeed too. And we've got the mobility to get out of a jam quick, with increased speed and the ability to ignore difficult terrain when we dash, which we can do twice per turn. On the other hand, if there's a jam we can't get away from, we're in pretty real trouble. With 13 AC and just over 100 HP, we're going to go down without much more than one good punch. We also have low wisdom, making us susceptible to the psychic powers of the higher castes of Troll. And with our main strike weapon being just a flashlight, we're not dealing much damage. Poison spray is more solid, but lots of monsters are good at constitution saves, and it doesn't do any damage if they succeed on their save. But Joey's not the muscle. For that, we have to go to the other half of our duo. Xefros Tritoh is a burgundy-blooded troll, the lowest caste on Alternia's Huma spectrum. From his hive in the outlet subgrub of Thrash Thrust, Xefros has big dreams of being a famous arena stickball player. Unfortunately, as a Rustblood, Xefros can really only look forward to a short life of menial labor before he's killed by a higher-blooded troll for whatever reason they think of. Alternia is a pretty grim place to grow up. He spends his days reluctantly learning to be a butler and performing in a garage band with his somewhat overbearing Moirail Damek. Their band, however, is actually a front for an underground rebellion led by Damek that is plotting to overthrow the heiress who rules their planet. Looking over at ability scores, again using the standard point array, Xefros has always been strong for his caste, but his caste isn't the strongest to begin with, so 13 feels about right. Next, we'll put 12 in Dexterity. He's not exactly fast, but he is an athlete. Constitution's a little higher. Xefros takes a lot of punishment during the games, and pulls through just fine. His highest stat will actually be Intelligence. As Joey chips away at his feelings of inferiority, brought on by his caste and his Moirail's treatment of him, Xefros begins to show hidden depths, asking some very difficult questions of himself, of Joey, and even of Damek. We'll dump Wisdom. I think Xefros has the capacity for high wisdom, but the world he lives in has left him anxious and terrified, though not without good reason. Finally, Charisma will be low as well. Again, he's a friendly enough guy, but his place on the Huma spectrum has left him subdued. He really only interacts with higher-blooded trolls through Joey. Since we're already showing off content from Tasha's Cauldron, I will be using the Tasha custom race rules. We get +2 to 1 ability score, 2 languages, a feat, and either a skill or 60 feet of dark vision. Xefros really is quite durable, so we'll bump up our Constitution by 2 and take Common and Infernal for our languages. I tend to think of the trolls as tieflings when it comes to D&D races, so Infernal is going to be our stand-in for Alternian. Trolls are nocturnal, so we'll take the 60 feet of dark vision, and low-bloods often have telekinetic powers. Xefros is no exception to this, so take the telekinetic feat. We can increase one of our mental stats by 1. Whichever stat we increase becomes the stat we use for our telekinesis, and Xefros' telekinesis is noted to be very weak, so we'll go with our wisdom. We get the Mage Hand cantrip, letting us manipulate small objects within 30 feet of us with an invisible hand, and as an action we can force a strength save on a creature within the same range, either pulling them toward us or pushing them away from us on a fail. Build your own background for proficiency with history and survival. You've had to forage for your food before, and if you're going to be a rebel, you need to know what you're rebelling against. Call it the Rustblood background. Xefros' sidekick class, the Warrior, is more focused on combat than Joey's. We get proficiency with any one of the physical saves. I would pick Constitution, along with all armor, shields, simple and martial weapons, and any 2 of the fighter skills except for Insight. Athletics will call back to our days in the stickball arena, and Perception will let us look out for higher-blooded trolls. Warriors get to be either attackers or defenders, and Xefros' position in arena stickball is an offensive one, so I would go with Attacker, giving him +2 to all his attack rolls. Furthermore, with improved critical, our attack rolls will crit on a 19 or on a 20. Warriors also get Second Wind, letting them heal 1d10 plus their level as a bonus action twice per rest, 2 extra attacks, and Indomitable, letting them reroll failed saves twice per day. As I go through what warriors get, I'm starting to sense a theme of just being a somewhat weaker version of a fighter. For some things fighters don't get, Battle Readiness gives us advantage on initiative checks, and Improved Defense is just a flat +1 to our AC. We'll round off Xefros with some feats and ability score improvements. Tuath gives us an additional 2 HP per level. I really can't stress enough how durable this boy is. He survives being buried in rubble, smashed into the floor, and juggled by a killer clown, and a train exploding underneath him all in the same day. We'll also pick up Skilled for performance, nature, and insight proficiencies, and Athlete, which increases our strength by 1. It also lets us climb without spending extra movement, stand from prone with only 5 feet of movement, and make a running jump with only 5 feet of run-up rather than 10. For our next 2 ability score improvements, we'll bump our Constitution and Intelligence up by 2 each, and we'll finish off with the Historian feat. Our History proficiency becomes an Expertise, our Intelligence increases by 1, and we can use the Help action to tell Joey about Alternia, increasing her ability checks by our proficiency bonus if we pass a DC 15 History check. Now that the build is complete, the question becomes, how good is it? Well, with a good 100 HP more than Joey, 2 second wins, and 2 Indomitables to keep us healthy, we're pretty good at taking hits. We've also got more consistent damage than Joey. Xefros wields a Q-Bat, which I would peg as a quarterstaff. With our extra attacks and improved critical, not to mention the advantage and extra damage that we get from Joey helping us, we can do a pretty fair bit of damage in a short amount of time. And though our social skills are a little low, we can rely on Joey for those, and even help her out with our buffs from Historian. On the other hand, we're going to need those extra HP, since our AC is actually worse than Joey's, seeing as Xefros doesn't wear armor and doesn't have her fancy footwork. Also, just like Joey, our wisdom is bad, and with higher trolls having mind control, that's very bad for us. Finally, everything we can do, a fighter can just do better. They get more attacks, more Indomitables, a wider variety of fighting styles, action surge, and whatever they get from their subclass. We do have one more second wind though, so that's pretty cool. Psychic classes are an interesting addition, but they feel like only half of a true class. Luckily, these two work together quite nicely, filling in for each other's weaknesses. And that, more than anything, is the meaning of this human emotion called friendship. I hope you enjoyed the builds. If you have any feedback or suggestions of characters to build, please leave them in the comments below. I do have a backlog of characters to get through, but I don't have a specific order to them, so if I get an interesting suggestion, there's no reason I couldn't do it sooner. Thank you for watching, friends, and I will see y'all later.